All right, let's get after it here. We got the Lionels and fired up for the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. These are those light bars with the crazy letters and all that. So let's go over all this. Not going to try to, I'll try to make it as quick as possible because I know we're in a hurry on all this, and there's not really a whole lot that's different that you haven't done. I just want to touch bases on a few things. So let's get into it. We got the lay of the land. So you've got the effed up. That's the fired up side. Now these two frame boxes are essentially the same. It's mostly just the top where these mounting holes are for the bars there. Yeah, ignore that. Looks like that was left over from the bars there. You are clamping both flanges on that. So anyway, yeah, ignore that clamp symbol. That's left over. But like the bottom is actually the same on both, but I do have them marked. That's fine. But like the center parts here and these jigs are the same on both. It's just the top has the mounting holes that are different. So you've got the frame pieces for fired up. Like I said, this is the mounting bars. So that's what makes them different. So you got the fired up backers, and then you got the skins, which also, like, technically the back's the same, but on the front where this is where the P comes down here, and on the other one, that's really the only difference. You've got the HDUs for fired up. You've got the 1-inch acrylics, the smaller ones for fired up. And then now we got Lionels. So that's that. And then the Lionels frame, exactly like I say, it's all the same. It's just that the holes appear different, but technically these are all mix and match all along here. You got the skin, same thing, but you'll see that they've got 3 different holes here versus the other one. So now when it says all here though, these two, you got switch boxes for both and power supply holder for both. That's the same. And the same light trays, there's gonna have 4 per, that's for both, that's for all. Keep it going here, same thing. We're just gonna have 1/8-inch clear Tough-Ak lenses, and I think we'll just leave them clear. I don't know, and I don't think they need to be diffused. I think we want maximum light to pop out, but that's for both. Now, obviously, this is for Lionels, the same 1-inch HDU, and finally the small letters for that. So got two install patterns for install there. So like I say, let's just start with the basic box. You just got side jigs here. That's these guys here. Otherwise, it's like we do where the brace part is also the jig. So this is going to fit inside the frame like we do. And then I have it set to where, facing you is left and right. So essentially all of the jigs face inwards to the right. You've got 6 small ones here, and you've got 1 bigger seam one here. Have them all face in. And then on the power side, which is on the left side, you'll have 1 brace here, and then you'll have 2 braces. You'll have the seam brace. Then you'll have 2 custom sort of power ones. They go right here, 1 and 2. And you'll see where that wedges this funky thing. It's sort of like a blade sign. You're going to bend this first and then clamp it inside and bend it second. Do that on both sides. And it's going to become like this little carriage right here that you're going to tack into in between these 2 braces. And then that will just be a little place where we put the GE right there. And then there's just going to be a little cover that goes on top. So it'll kind of breathe and all that. It's just to keep the water from dripping directly on that. You also have a little birdhouse. We got to keep the switch protected. Normally we don't do we do the recessed, but I don't want to hear it from them. Who knows? They're like, why is there a hole, et cetera, et cetera. The ones we took down have the switch sticking out. The ones we took down are completely illegal. I mean, there's completely illegal, but anyway, so this will at least, keep the switch house. So you've got, a little bottom that you're going to rivet in, but otherwise the orange part, you can either Lords it on there, or if you want to tack it to this end first, when you have access, tack it and then put it together. Possibly that works for you. But we will be putting the rubber boot on the outside. Remember, it's rubber boot against metal. You don't put the plate or anything. And then you're just going to put the switch inside. It's got a little cover you're going to bring in. I understand it might be kind of tough to get this 1024, but just figure it out, get in there with a 90 or something, whatever. So that'll be that. That's a little switch cover. Got that handled. Go ahead and tack everything together. These seams here are ready for rivet. We throw some rivets on there. And then once everything's all tacked together, now make sure that the braces, they are asymmetrical. because this is going to be to the back. This is the light tray. So it glows onto the wall. So make sure like this wider part here all faces. So you got R's on this side and you got L's on this side, lefts. So make sure everything faces the proper way. That way, this light tray here. So let's get a side view here. Yeah. So you'll see this is the 063 white tray. And I tested this with 7100 power maxes, sort of bunched, but not too badly. But if you put some power maxes all the way across, you're going to have 4 light trays. So the 2 smaller ones are in the middle and the 2 bigger ones are here. And they're just going to sit in there tool free. They're just going to straddle the little pokey uppy party. That's the technical term. So you can see where the orange just straddles. So it's just going to rest in there. And then we have our polycarbs. Now I understand install is going to be putting these in. Install, I put some really long rovels on there. If you want to just make sure you don't clamp them down too hard, that way they won't lasagna noodle in the heat. Theoretically, this will let them stretch a little bit back and forth. So if you just want to snug the screws, and then you can see where that covers that. I did the temporary holder for this long opening. So go ahead and chop those out when you're done. You know, obviously leave this middle one. We have to have a little bit. That's only an inch. If it has a shadow, it is what it is. Same thing here. Obviously, we don't want to chop out the structure of the box. But any of these ones that are bulgy like we do, go ahead and chop those out and chop those out. So, but like I say, this looks familiar to a box that you're kind of used to, you know, whatever. Just make sure it's, you know, faces to the face and back to the back. So that leaves that, and then you can go ahead and, you know, get that prepped. Now you will make sure that you put these things on before paint, because once you stick the letters on there, you're not going to have, these aren't going to be like fastened on there with anything. If you want to do safety rivets, that's great, but it has to be flush because the letter is going to literally sit on the 09. So you can see where the HDU is trimmed right there, and then the HDU is trimmed right there, and then the final face goes on the front of the cabinet. But these two don't have clearance unless you were to like, you know, like hog that out or something after to make sure. So like I say, though, we can't put these on after unless we have to clearance the fasteners you use. So get these lords on to the top of the box. I have corresponding holes here. So you can see where the holes line up right here and right here. And then the small bars over here. So fountain's the same thing. You're just going to clamp and bend this part, fold the letters up. They should be strong enough. And then just go ahead and tack it to that, or I mean, lords it to that. And then that should be it. Get that out to paint. You're good to go. So then when it comes time to putting these together, because these are only 15 pound, it kind of stinks, but I think this is the best method to do this. So let's look at it this way. So you have a backer, right? So this is the back 1 inch. You'll have a middle, and then you'll have the front, which will have the 1024 taps. So you're just going to tap these, and then you're going to create this sandwich. So purple's the face, this pink is in the middle. So you can see here. So purple face, this is the one that hangs down long or whatever. You got the middle, and then you'll have this. And so I did an island fill, 3/8. And so I brought in some 4-inch aluminum studs, 1024. What you're going to do is just put those all the way into, I told, I gave a heads up to homie that bottom tap as deep as he dares to make sure we get plenty, like don't just do the usual, you know, 1/8 inch or whatever he goes down. Make sure that these go down quite a bit. So that way there's plenty of strength in the stud. So you want to tap that really well. And then you're going to go ahead and put that stud in there. And then you're just going to slide the middle. And then you're going to create a sandwich with a washer and a nut. Now, and I think there's going to be room for 2 nuts if you want to like double nut it, whatever. So this is where I bring this up. I don't know if this will be enough to hold this together, but this unit has to go out to prep as one unit because we need to Bondo this seam. We need to make it look clean. We can't assemble the sandwich after paint. I mean, we could, but it's going to look like we sandwiched 3 pieces. So this needs to be a solid unit out to paint, but you know, how solid it can be with the studs and everything, I don't know. So do you put some silicone in there? I don't know. Is it going to be too squishy? Do we do liquid nails? Obviously, lords won't work because the epoxy will get pulled apart by the foam. I got the hot glue gun. There's a fresh hot glue gun that's it's on that little cart by trim cap of mine. I was using that earlier. You know, maybe a little hot glue in there and squish it and then put these together. But anyway, but these need to be basically rock solid, even though it's only 15 pound. That kind of stinks. But you got to get these rock solid together, then send them out to prep. Now you'll have an inch of stud sticking out. Go ahead and wrap those with some, masking tape or something. If prep's watching this, make sure these don't get jacked up. And then what you're going to do is once it's all done, you're just going to slide it onto the backer, obviously, and then just, nut it up again on the back, and then just chop the studs and make sure it's clean, and make sure it's all sexy. So if that makes sense, that's kind of it. The two descenders, you can just put the studs in after, and you can just reach your hand in so you can see where these three right here will match up for Lionel's. It'll match up to these 3 holes in the face. And then the same thing goes for Fired Up. So Fired Up has a descender. It has the P coming down. So you'll have 2 on the face there. But Fired Up's the exact same thing. Make a sandwich, make sure it's stable, make sure it's good, and then send it out to prep. And then prep, please don't beat these studs up too badly, and then we'll skid it back. So like I said, I went ahead and ordered some more studs just for this job, just to make sure we got everything. I got all this coming to you. And then the other part of it is we do this all day. So here's the 1024 brass inserts for the smaller ones. Go ahead and brass insert those and get those out to prep. That's done. But I did bring you in some brass inserts as well, just to make sure we have it for this job. So that's it. I just want to touch base on the HDU, or if you see some other way, I don't know, whatever you think will work. Jonathan, if you're watching this too, whatever you think. But otherwise, I think you guys got it. Tetramax or any kind of just a straight up all the way across. If you're looking in the back here, the answer for this was they are going to be the same. So even though Lionel's, I asked Jim this earlier, even though Lionel's is a lot shorter, you are going to put LEDs across the entire white 063s for both. That way it's kind of the same. So just ignore this. This was the question, but yeah. The same, all the way across, boom. So lenses, this thing, Lord's that. Here's your little cover. That, I think you got that. Switch. So, yep, I think we're good to go. So if you have any questions, hit me up.
Check the technique. Check the technique. See if